How sweet is the root cause.
Insert.
Okay.
But I think in other ones, it might not be.
Okay. Now, let's define what white supremacy is.
Yeah, that's important.
That's very important.
What is white supremacy,
White supremacy.
To you, or how do you see it? Et cetera?
Right. Well, just the basic definition to the people who implemented the
Yeah.
system of white supremacy. It's groups of people classified as white who dominate, control, and mistreat groups of people classified as non-white.
Gotcha.
Right. So that's the working definition. That's always pretty much been the definition of what white supremacy is. It's a group phenomenon.
Right.
And what happens a lot of times, people put black folks in token positions and say, hey, there's a black guy right there, so there's no white supremacy.
Right.
There's two black kids going to that school, so it's not segregated. No white supremacy. It's integrated because there's two black people right there.
When would that school become integrated?
See, I don't even use the word integration.
Or what word you would like to use?
We have white supremacy or we don't. And the
when
thing
would
is,
it not be at 12%? When the population?
You can't quantify white supremacy by little intangible numbers. Because,
no, I picked 12% because black people are 12% of the American population. So if it reflected the American population of blacks, would that be considered, we don't have to use integrated, but not white supremacy?
Well, see, the problem was not black people being in a certain capacity. That wasn't the issue. Because black people, we've always lived around white people. On slavery, we lived right in the homes of white people, right in the back of them. So was that integration? You see, integration is a trick word. It's white supremacy.
No, I'm saying, you said if there's one or two, it's a token. So I'm going, what percent of representation does it become not a token, but in fact the exact representation that it should reflect of the population?
When there's
of the United
equal
States?
treatment and equal resources for the group. You got it?
But if there's only 12% black people, should there be 50% of the? Should there be 70% of the resources going to 12% of the black people because there's 70% white people? You see how it's confusing? Like, shouldn't your resources be dictated by the percentage of your population? If there's 2% Indians in America, they shouldn't get 50% of the education budget.
Well,
they should get 2% of the education budget.
You can have a white school on one side of town and a black school on one side of town. The white school is getting all the resources, all the money, and all the funding, and the black school that's 100% black is getting almost 75% less than that. So that's not
here's my
integration
question.
or segregation. That's just white supremacy.
But is that white supremacy, or is that how we divide up education dollars based on taxes?
Taxes, okay.
Taxation.
Let's look at the taxation.
Right.
So it's not about race, it's about taxation.
I'm saying is that, like, here's an example where we could be blind and we could make something a race issue when it's actually a taxation issue. If we take a wealthy black neighborhood or a wealthy black area in America that has a very high tax bracket, I bet that public school in that area would have all the spoils of a wealthy white school strictly because it's based on a tax bracket, not because it's based on the race.
So why are there not more wealthy black neighborhoods with the same tax bracket as white neighborhoods?
So, I mean, clearly there's more wealth. Actually, I can't even say that if there's more wealth. I mean, on a whole, there's more poor white people in America just because there's more white people.
Right.
But percentage-wise, there's more wealth in the white community than there is in the black community. And that is because, obviously, if we're going to talk about just the people who have been here in America, a legacy of slavery.
So white supremacy, we're going right back to white supremacy again.
But we also have to look at recent immigrants that have come in from Africa and the West Indies in America who haven't sustained the same legacy of slavery and had incredible success in America. I mean, Nigerians out earn and out succeed white males in America, Asian males in America.
Even education-wise, they outperform.
And not only education. I mean, we're talking about wealth.
Yeah.
Like the amount of money that they're bringing in average household outsees everybody. So is that a function of white supremacy that they're doing so well here? How is that?
Because they're allowed to. Other people are allowed by the white supremacists to prosper over black Americans here. Because
where are these meetings I'm missing?
Oh, see, that's the thing. There's meetings all over. There's all over. And y'all won't tell us. So
I gotta go.
This is why we have to suspect certain
I want
people.
some of that Nigerian money.
Yes, that's why we have to suspect certain people of being white supremacists. These meetings are all over. Y'all not telling us. So,
who's y'all? I'm not being told.
You're not telling.
I need to get CC on the email.
You know somebody who knows what a meeting is.
I don't know. I just know these Nigerians are rich. I keep going to Nigerian doctors and dentists.
But
I'm trying to get some money.
That's the thing. They're allowed. They're allowed.
Why would a white supremacist allow a black Nigerian to receive such wealth and privilege?
Because they can take that wealth and privilege right away if they want to.
How?
Anytime. They can deport them. They can send them back over to Nigeria.
For what?
Back
You
to
can't
their
deport
village.
anybody for nothing.
The hell you can't.
You absolutely
if
can't.
you're a
I've
black
heard
person,
Dr. Umar make this joke.
If you're from another country, now we're talking about immigrants here. They can find a reason to deport you. They can say,
my mom's an immigrant.
From where?
From Scotland.
Okay, well, she's white. That's different.
So
but
you're
a
saying
black
you
person
can only deport black immigrants.
No, I didn't say that. No. I didn't say that. But
okay, but
with
where in the
black
legislation
people,
does it say that you can deport them?
With black people, well, they're doing that now with Syrians. All they have to do is say you're a terrorist. You're connected to ISIS. They can make up anything. You're connected with Boko Haram. They can make that up, and you have no proof. You have Ebola from Nigeria, so you're going to have to go back.
Because they're connected to Boko Haram. And for people who aren't familiar with Boko Haram is a terrorist organization with links to ISIS that is operating in Nigeria right now, and it's displaced thousands of people. Really scary shit. But who have they sent back because of Boko Haram? As far as my understanding, they've sent back nobody.
With the Ebola thing,
Ebola isn't Boko Haram.
But the thing is, I'm giving you an example.
And they've never sent anybody back because of Ebola.
They won't let people over. They'll say, "Well, he can't come over here."
Let people over is different than sent back, Tariq.
I'm just giving you an example of what they can do. They can do anything.
This is why you're good.
I'm giving you an example.
Won't question you on your shit when they question you on your shit.
I'm giving you an example of what they can do. I'm giving you an example of what they can do.
But you're not. You're not giving me an example of something that's actually happened. Because I've heard Umar make this statement, and they can't kick someone back who is a citizen and they can't kick someone back who was born here. So Nigerians come here, their kids are born here, and they have this incredible success in America.
But they're allowed to.
But
they're allowed
by the
white supremacists.
By the white supremacists, right?
And also when the before the Nigerian,
seems very weird.
Before
like
the
other
Nigerian,
white supremacists would probably look at that, be like, guys, you're this white supremacy isn't really up to par. I've seen better.
No. They don't mind that. They don't mind letting one or two black people prosper, a very small group. Hell, in Nazi Germany,
black people are a small group. There's only 12%
in Nazi
black
Germany,
people.
there were rich Jews who got put in the oven. Like Abraham Tuchinski, he was a rich Jewish businessman. He went right in that oven.
All the Jews went in the oven.
Exactly.
That was the thing about it.
Exactly.
So
all of us are treated the same. So certain black people are allowed to have a certain amount of money. Some are allowed to not.
If all black people are treated the same, why are you saying in the next sentence that certain black people are allowed to be pulled into the white supremacy umbrella?
Because they can be controlled. They can be controlled, and their little wealth that they get should not or will not be allowed to affect the masses of black people. That's the thing. They don't mind one or two token black people having certain positions. We'll even let you make $500 million like Bill Cosby, but we can destroy Bill Cosby anytime we want by bringing out these poor white women who said that he touched their breast.
Well, I mean,
that's a perfect example.
It wasn't only white women, and
no. The couple of token black women sprinkled in there didn't even count. That's how they hide their racism, by putting token black women.
I've seen you make this argument as well, which I think is an argument of convenience. This is what I'm talking about, where you need more competition, because I think it's just a convenient argument where you get into this thing like, okay, if you disagree with me, then you're a token black dude. You're a coon if you disagree with me.
These are facts.
But they're not facts. You can't prove tokenism of somebody.
You can't.
How?
You can prove that black people, name black people in certain positions, and there are two rules for black people who are put in positions by people in the dominant society. There's two rules.
Right.
Rule number one, you cannot help black people collectively.
Yeah.
Rule number two, you cannot punish white people. Name black people in these positions who have done one of those two.
Okay, so I remember you made this point on tax when you were talking about Marilyn Mosby.
Yes.
And you said that, and this is another one where I think you're blinded by race.
Just name them, brother.
But Marilyn Mosby is the mayor of, is the prosecutor, district attorney in Baltimore for the Freddie Gray case.
So you can't name Schultz, right?
We're going to go off of Marilyn Mosby, right?
Okay.
So you said that Marilyn Mosby tried to punish white cops, and they got her out of there.
They're getting her out of there right now.
Or they're getting her out of there right now. Right. Now let's just talk about Baltimore for a second. This is a majority black city. There's a black mayor, black police chief, minority police force is majority minority police force, black district attorney.
That's not answering the question.
Majority black city council. Black attorney general, black president. Who is they that's getting her out of there? I mean, I can tell you who's getting her out of there. Stephanie Rawlings Blake is getting her out of there because her career is potentially ruined by this Freddie Gray situation. So what you had to, and Stephanie Rawlings Blake is the mayor, the black mayor of Baltimore.
Right, they're getting her up out of there too.
The black mayor of Baltimore threw under the bus for her own career.
But why did she throw under the bus? Because Stephanie's about to get her career is about to be thrown under the bus by who? The white supremacists.
What white supremacists?
The ones who run the police unions there. This It's the police
Who
unions
runs
that
the
do
police
that.
union?
White
The police are minority black. They run their own
they
unions.
don't.
Absolutely.
The police out
My
there in
point is,
Baltimore don't run the...
Listen, Tariq,
Man, the police
listen, I'm
union...
telling
Are you telling me
can't
the police unions in Baltimore are run by black people?
Sure.
That's not true.
Absolutely, they represent minority.
That's
Absolutely.
not true.
So here's the thing, Tariq.
That's so not true.
Tariq, this is why Baltimore is such a bad example. I'm telling you,
That's not true.
You can make better examples for this, but for this argument you're making, it's the worst example because this is a black city.
But it's
this
controlled.
Is a black city that
it's controlled by white
by
tax
black
dollars.
people.
It's not controlled by black
It
people.
absolutely is.
Then why are black people allowed
Majority
to be
black
killed
city
out there
council.
and nothing happens?
9 out of the 15 people.
If black people controlled it, why can white cops go into black neighborhoods and kill black people?
Are they going into neighborhoods and killing black people? Is that something that's
control
happening,
it,
or that's something that happened?
Why can they go into a black neighborhood and kill a black person and nothing happens to them?
Can white people do that, or can cops do that?
No, white people. White police officers can do that. Black people, you cannot.
And here's the question.
Black people cannot kill unarmed white people.
So here's the question I ask you.
So let me finish.
Here's the question I ask you. Okay,
let me
go,
finish.
go.
Black people, even a cop, you cannot kill unarmed white people and not get punished. If it happens, it's so extremely rare, it's ridiculous. I can think about 1 or 2
Actually,
cases
it happens at a higher percentage than it does to black people.
No,
you should
it
check out 2 studies. The Washington Post did a study, and I think Johns Hopkins University did a study where white people are 18% more likely to get killed than black people by police. White people.
You changed the argument. I said black cops killing whites. Now I can deal with what you're saying too.
Black cops ain't
black
killing
cops
whites.
are not killing unarmed white people, Schultz. That's not happening.
Matter of fact, well, cops in general.
We're talking about black
let's stay
cops.
on this issue. Let's stay on this issue.
But also, let me deal with what you just said
real quick, and then we'll get back to that. I promise you.
Right.
I promise we'll get back to that. But real quick with this issue. So we have a situation where I think you're blinded by the race issue, right? And I think that there is cop privilege in that a cop.
If you're a white.
No, I think if you're black, white doesn't matter.
Then name
right?
black cops who are killing unarmed white people. Name them.
Name black cops.
I can name Pantaleo, Darren Wilson. I can name the cops who killed Freddie Gray. I can name a whole bunch of them.
There was a black cop at a university in, I think, Texas that shot a white kid because he thought he was on drugs.
The naked white guy. Yeah, people always point to the naked. That's the only one that I can think of. And there was a white guy who was flipping out on drugs and he shot him.
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
So that's one. You said to name one.
Okay, but I mentioned that earlier. So you're going to have.
No, you never mentioned that.
I did. I said there's about 1 or 2.
Well, you just said name one. You said name one. I named one.
Well, he's a white
and I'm sure if I just Google cops that have killed whatever. But
there's always going to be a white sacrifice. But when it's systematic,
again, here goes back to your argument, which is
when it's systematic. When it's systematic,
you're a coon if you disagree with me, and there's a white sacrifice.
But having a white sacrifice doesn't negate the fact that it is systematic.
You can make better arguments. This is what I'm saying. You're a smart dude.
Right.
You're a great communicator, and you communicate in digestible. I'm listening to this tax interview. Very digestible.
You are a white supremacy denier.
No, I've already acknowledged that white supremacy exists. But what I think that you do is I think that you conflate certain situations with white supremacy, which aren't. And I think what's dangerous about that is, let me finish, what's dangerous about that is we actually don't get to the solution that we want because we're blinded by this white supremacy idea, or we're blinded by race baiting, and we miss the actual issue here at hand, which is not white supremacy. In this situation, it is maybe a cop privilege where a cop can get away with certain things regardless of race that a white person or a black person cannot get away with.
Now, name any area of activity that is not dominated by systematic white supremacy.
What do you mean?
Any area of activity between people. There's about 9 areas. Labor, law, education, religion, sex, war, entertainment. Religion. Okay. Yeah. So religion is not dominated by white supremacy.
No.
It is. It's completely dominated by white supremacy because, number one, we're taught to relish and worship white gods. When you go to a black church, there should not even be a black church. The reason why there's a black church is because there's a white church, and there's a white church because of white supremacy. So all of you're supposed to be Christians. There should not be any segregation in a church. The white supremacists determine that. So white supremacy dominates all that.
So here's a perfect example of where I think that you again are clouded by your view of white supremacy. You want to prove white supremacy so bad, you're just ignoring thousands of years of history. For example, idols in religion always reflect what the people look like who they're trying to attract to the religion. So when Christianity was invented 2,000 years ago, and it was spread across Europe, which is white, they created a Jesus that was reflective of the population. Very similar to Buddha. Buddha, if you look at the Indian Buddha, is this fat, obese Buddha. Now,
But Jesus isn't from Europe.
as Buddhism,
But Jesus isn't from Europe. How you?
can you listen?
I'm listening.
As
How you?
Buddhism
you're not from
traveled
Europe, you're
from
right.
India
Right.
to Asia, what happened to Buddha? Buddha became this slender, tight, slanted-eyed Buddha. So we go from fat Indian Buddha to slanted-eyed Asian Buddha because why? People want something that looks just like them. That's why you see black Jesus in certain churches.
But you,
this
for the most
concept
part,
of
you see
black
the white
Jesus,
Jesus.
this black
For the
Jesus,
most part,
this
look.
black concept of black Jesus came about because in certain parts of the world, in order to attract them to Jesus, they created a black idol. So you're looking at this like literally 2,000 years ago when in Rome or wherever the fuck they are, they're not even considering black people. Like, you know what? In 1,600 years, we want to preserve the white supremacy legacy. So when the transatlantic slave trade happens, let's make sure that white God, Jesus, looks white so that we can disenfranchise and marginalize these black people that we tell to be Christian. It had
Right.
nothing to do with it. They're 1,600 years apart. These people aren't thinking about it at all. They're thinking, how do I get that white guy right there who's a pagan to believe in Christianity?
But sir, they've been
make this guy kind of look like him?
They practice
Done. Boom.
Christianity in Ethiopia for thousands of years. They have like one of the oldest symbols of Christianity in Ethiopia and Africa. So
and
African
if you follow
people,
the art, and I guarantee if you follow the art,
So
like you
now-
follow with any religion, if
so
you
now,
follow
Schultz,
the art,
now when you go
then
to
you'll see
when
the
you
similarities.
go to all the places where there are dark people, they've been programmed and beaten into submission to worship Christianity. I've been all over the world. You go to Samoa, there's a white Christian church all over the place.
Sure.
Even in Africa, they're worshiping white Jesus all over the
Yeah,
place.
they're worshiping Islam all over the place as well.
Right.
What's your point?
Well, the thing is, Islam is dominated by the white supremacists because now they can.
Islam
is dominated. It's dominated.
Islam is dominated by
yeah,
the white
but you're
supremacists.
dominated. Yeah, because
So there's 2 billion tokens.
Yeah, no, they're
This is
not
2
tokens.
billion
No, but
token
they're dominated by the white supremacists
Islam.
because they can blow up any Muslim anytime they want to. The white supremacists can say, "Okay, that's a terrorist. I'm burning and blowing up your whole country." So they're dominated by the white supremacy. Muslim
Make
is
that
a
point.
code.
Make that point again.
I'm saying that the so-called Muslims, any Muslim on this planet, the white supremacists dominates them, especially over in the Middle East. The white supremacists run the Middle East. They go over there and pick and choose which Muslim country
So you're
they
talking
want
about
to dominate and destroy.
You're talking about Western oil influences are now synonymous with white supremacy.
Yeah.
So here's another perfect example
Yes.
of you being blinded by white supremacy. You're just taking the umbrella of white supremacy and putting it on top of whatever issue it is you want to discuss. And then making some loose connection.
Not
When
a loose connection.
you
They
can-
dominate them
Dude,
ttotally,
Tariq,
sir.
You can make these
Do they
fucking
dominate them or
arguments
not?
so much better.
Do
You can-
they dominate them or not?
No, I will not say that white supremacy dominates them.
It doesn't matter
I
how
will
much,
say
sir.
Western capitalism dominates
That is
them.
white
Absolutely.
supremacy. Who
Absolutely.
controls Western capitalism?
I mean, it depends. It depends. I mean, I think Oprah's in control of her own network.
Oprah can be.
I think-
Oprah couldn't even handle the damn food industry. They almost destroyed Oprah's career. That's why she had to get Dr. Phil. Oprah got on television and said, "I'm never eating beef again." Hillbilly white men almost destroyed Oprah. She had to go get hillbilly Dr. Phil to save her. That's why
I don't think you give Oprah enough credit for the power that she has.
No,
and
I
her
love
ability.
Oprah to death, but the thing is,
I'm
Oprah's
just saying-
still under the system of white supremacy.
No,
though.
Oprah.
They'll let her know
Oprah,
that.
Listen, I'm not familiar with the food industry that she does, but what she did for television was unprecedented.
Nobody's
what she did for the
questioning that. That's
magazine
my
industry
sister.
was
Nobody's
unprecedented.
questioning that.
It seems that you're questioning it, and it seems that
I'm
you're
not.
belittling her efforts.
I'm not.
By
See, that's
saying
the trick. No,
trick. Let me make the point before you say trick.
No, that's
Let
the
me
trick.
make the
You're trying to
point
make
before
it
you
seem
say
like I'm
trick.
dumping on Oprah. I love Oprah.
Let me
but
explain
Oprah,
why.
like me and other people, are still victims of white supremacy.
Let me explain why I think that they are unknowingly dumping on Oprah.
I'm
It's
not.
because you're acting as if Oprah didn't earn that.
I never said that.
You said
I
you're
never
acting
said
like she
that.
was allowed to have it.
She earned it. A lot of us earn things, but we're still under the system
No,
of white
because
supremacy
these
where they can
Nigerians
take it
are
back.
allowed.
They are allowed.
So,
that
but
doesn't
is
say that
Oprah
they're not
allowed,
thorough.
or did she claw away and get that
doesn't say
herself?
that they're not thorough. Let's be very clear.
Did she claw away and get it herself, or did she allow it?
It doesn't matter how qualified you are in the system
now
of white
you're scared to
supremacy.
go at Oprah.
No, I love Oprah.
So
I love
you either
Oprah to
got to be
life.
consistent with your
I love
argument.
Oprah.
Do the white supremacists allow Oprah to have it?
Yes.
Or does she claw away at it?
No, you can still be thorough, but they allow you to do
So
certain
Oprah
things.
didn't earn that herself.
She did earn it herself.
See, I think
It
Oprah
doesn't
earned
matter.
it all herself, and I think she might have had to work harder than someone else in her position.
Now, why would she have to work harder?
Obviously, because of racial issues.
There you go. Thank you,
Of
Schultz.
course,
Thank
of course.
you.
But-
We're on the same page.
No. Honestly,
you admitted
in a
it.
lot of
That's
ways,
all white supremacy.
we are on the same page. I just think that you're confusing, or maybe purposely putting this idea of white supremacy because it's something you want to prove so bad.
So we just proved
on
that
top.
white supremacy dominates religion. What other areas
No,
of activity?
we actually disproved prove that entirely.
No, we did not.
You completely agreed with me that
No.
these idols reflect the people that they want to
No,
bring on.
white supremacy dominates all. You're talking about thousands of years ago, there wasn't white supremacy.
I mean, if you
within the
look at-
last 500 years, that's when white
If you look
supremacy
at
rose.
Islam, which
if
is
we're talking
really
thousands of
interesting-
years ago, there wasn't white supremacy then. Now there is white supremacy, and it dominates all areas
That's
of
very
activity.
convenient, isn't it?
No, it's not convenient. That's
right,
just history.
Right, when you have an argument that all of a sudden that's just what happens.
I mean, that's what happens
No,
historically.
This is why. So you're upset that now okay, so your argument is
Yes.
now white supremacy dominates religion.
It does
Now,
in
but
all areas.
Thousands of years ago, it didn't.
No, it didn't, because there was no white supremacy.
Right.
Because
and when
African
did
people were ruling all over the
When did they
place.
decide that Jesus was white? Now or thousands of years ago?
No, about 500 years ago. About 500 years ago, that's when they started to promote the white
No,
Jesus
500 years
ideology.
ago, Islam was popping. We're talking about.
We're talking about 500 years ago when Columbus
if you
and all
look
these
at-
people started sailing around the world. They
Sure.
started to
Before that,
Christianize
Jesus was
everybody.
white. Before that, Jesus was white. You
I
just
can,
have to look at the art.
there's
Just
images
look at
of
the
black. The original images of Jesus is black. There's
no, I think
paintings-
he was Middle Eastern.
There's paintings in the Middle Eastern. They were black, basically. The original ones, they were black.
Now everybody's black.
They
Now
were
everybody's
black.
changing colors.
No.
Now everybody's
no,
doing
what
this.
are you? No,
No,
what are
they
you?
weren't.
Jewish? What are you? Jewish? Italian? What are you?
I'm my mother's Scottish and my dad is Irish and German.
Okay, because
White guy.
some of the
So-
original
so the
Irish
point
were
is-
even black. Go get a book by David McRitchie, Ancient and Modern
I mean, the
Britons.
original humans were black. We can go back as far as that.
Right.
Obviously, everybody's black, but no, the original Irish were not black. There were black Irish, which
They
people
were
are
black.
talking about. But the black Irish are those when the Spanish Armada landed in Ireland, not
But
an
you had
African
the Picts
thing.
and you had the Celts and you had all of these people.
Yeah, but
and-
none of that has to do with blackness. You're just saying words.
I'm not. No.
You're just saying words that you
Some
don't
of the
really know
original,
what they mean.
some of the original people in Ireland.
Okay,
This is
the
a white guy
Celts.
said this. White guy named David McRitchie said this in the book
tell
Ancient
me
and
about
Modern
the
Britons.
Celts. Tell me about the Celts and how they're black.
And these are the redheads. But it was a guy named David McRitchie.
Well, tell me about the
listen,
Celts.
I'm telling you about
You're
this book.
just saying words. You don't know the definition.
Ancient and modern
You can do that with
Britons.
some
There's a
people.
white guy.
You can't do that with me.
Go get the book.
I know my shit. That's the
David
difference.
McRitchie.
Okay? This is
Ancient and Modern
you
Britons.
need the
There
Pistons.
were original-
You need the Pistons.
original people
'Cause
in
most
Ireland were
people
black
let you
folks.
say that shit.
No.
Tell me what the Celts and the Picts are.
The original people in Ireland were black people. The Picts
my
and all these people. That's what a white guy said it. So he must be lying.
A white guy said it, so it must be true?
A
You
white guy
must
wrote
really
it in the
believe this
1800s.
white supremacy shit.
A white guy wrote
You
it in the
must really
1800s, so he
believe it.
must have been lying, because that's where I got it from.
All right, well,
Okay?
I think you need to re-look at
Okay.
that source. I think you need to look at it again. And as far as religion goes,
Yes.
clearly, I mean, I think the most effective tools about Islam is you're not allowed to show pictures of the Prophet, right? It is illegal in the religion. You can die when you show pictures of the Prophet. Now, when you're not allowed to show pictures of the Prophet, that's pretty convenient for convincing the whole world that that's your Prophet, because he could look just like you in your image, can't he? He can look just like you. So when I go to Asia, when I go to India, if I'm spreading Islam, which it spread very quickly throughout the entire world. I mean, the largest Islamic population in the world is Indonesia. You go to Indonesia, they can imagine that Muhammad looks just like them in Indonesian. So it's an effective tool for spreading.
But the thing is, they're dominated. That religion is dominated by the white supremacists, because they can take them out anytime, and they can criminalize a whole religious
I mean, is
group
the whole
of people.
world dominated by Russia because
can-
they have a nuclear weapon? They can take people out
Yeah,
at a time?
they're white. It's white on white crime, as far as I'm concerned. But as
But
far
they-
as Islam,
Yes.
they can take out anybody. It doesn't matter how much money you have. With Gaddafi, all of these people, they had a lot of money, took them out overnight. So the white supremacists dominate all people,
Right. So that's
regardless of religion.
That's American empire.
That's still white supremacy. See, these are code words. See, a lot of people like to use these words as capitalism.
Sure.
It's empire. It's the Illuminati. It's
Right.
the Bilderberg. That's that Alex Jones bullshit. It's the Bilderberg. This is all different words for white supremacy.
Why is that?
Because the white supremacists are the ones you're talking about. When you're talking about all these different groups, it's like a corporation. And you're talking,
there a
there's a
difference? No,
corporation
I
called
get you.
white
Yeah.
supremacy,
Yeah.
and you're just talking about the different floors in the same corporation.
So is there a difference if white supremacy looks out for white people so much? Why are white people in America suffering?
Well, you have white sacrifices, and also it's
So
like
we're sacrificing the majority of white people?
Also, it's like military. You have generals,
Poorly run
captains,
corporation. This
Right.
building needs some
and even the look
renovations.
So you saying that poor white people, they're not white supremacists?
Well, I think poor white people will want to be white supremacists more than anything else because they actually value it. They actually benefit from it. But it serves because if I'm poor but I'm better than you and you're a rich black guy, then I, of course, want to align myself with this white supremacy. That makes perfect sense.
Exactly.
Now,
Exactly.
why isn't the white supremacy elite that you're talking about that are making all these decisions, that are oppressing the Middle East, that are controlling the entire world, the white empire, Why aren't those white people taking care of these poor white people if there's this agenda? Or is it maybe those white elite aren't really white elite, they're just rich people and they don't give a fuck about what color your skin is. They just want to keep all their money to themselves, and it has nothing to do with white supremacy but rich supremacy and the top 1%. And if you're part of that group, then you get to play with us and you get to the spoils and fuck all the poor people regardless if they're black, regardless if they're white, regardless if they're Asian, regardless if they're Puerto Rican. It doesn't matter.
And the thing is, the problem with that argument, some of the worst and biggest white supremacists are dirt poor white people. They are some of the biggest white supremacists you ever want to meet because that's all they have.
That's all they have.
They can say, I live in a trailer, I'm on meth, I got head lice, but I'm doing better than that rich black guy because I will not be killed walking around unarmed, and my constitutional rights will be protected.
Lyndon B. Johnson said that. He goes,
he said,
if you can convince the lowest white man that he's better than the highest black man, you won't need to rob him. He'll hand his money to you.
That's why they gave all their money to Trump.
But listen, we can get into Trump in a second, but I think that they gave their money to Trump. I think some people gave their money to Trump for racial motives, but I don't think all of them. But in terms of that stigma right there, he's saying they'll hand their money to you. What Lyndon B. Johnson is saying with that quote is, you can manipulate them so you can rob them. It's not this, hey, you got white skin, I want to take care of you. It's, hey, you're an idiot and you're poor, well, I'm going to take advantage of you. I'm going to sell you this lie, not so all of us white people can enjoy the spoils of America, so I can rob your fucking ass and you can think you're better than somebody so you'll let me fucking rob you. So I think that these wealthy people, I think that the step that you're kind of missing is that there's a level of wealth in this country where they don't give a fuck about anybody's skin color, nothing. They give a fuck about promoting their business, promoting their agenda. And I think if we look at this through the guise of white supremacy, we just continue allowing them to rob everyone.
But the thing is, nobody's doing anything about white supremacy. See, and the thing is,
of course we're doing something about white supremacy.
You're not. Nobody's doing anything about white supremacy.
I heard you say that on the tax season podcast. You said America is more racist than ever.
Yeah. Yes.
You believe that?
Not believe. I know.
America is more racist than ever.
Yeah.
So right now
it's gotten worse. White supremacy has gotten worse.
So you agree with Donald Trump? We have to make America great again, then?
Yeah, but he's not going to do it. How's he going to do it?
But I'm just saying, you would like to go back to another point in time. What point in time you think?
Let's just make America great.
But
again, let's make it great.
Well, apparently it was greater before, according to you. What time period would you like to go back to?
I'm just saying,
1863.
No, there's
Emancipation Proclamation. Like when was America? Like you're telling me America used to be better in terms of racism?
That. Well, no,
you said used to be verbatim.
Better.
You said verbatim. It's
worse.
Never been more racist.
Right.
So
you saying, are you flipping that to say that I'm saying that it was better racial? Because
that's what never been. No. Implies.
No, because you cannot have better racism. That's the thing. We live in this. I've always said we live in a system of white supremacy.
Sure.
That's what I said.
Sure.
We live in and there is no progressive white supremacy. There's no better white supremacy. It's just white supremacy.
So y'all haven't killed each other yet?
No.
Okay, good conversation.
We're talking
great.
Good dialogue.
No, absolutely great. And I'm so happy you came. Welcome, Charlamagne. My point is that clearly white supremacy was more intact when black people weren't humans. When they were considered livestock,
or the 2/3,
then when a black person, well, even before there was 2/3 was progress.
Yeah.
They got to 2/3 just so they could get votes.
So you trying to say that there's racial progress
in America?
Yeah.
You go from owning livestock, humans as livestock, to having a black president. I think that's racial progress.
There's no such thing. That's like.
It is racial progress.
Of course, it's racial progress.
Rape. If you rape somebody, do you have progressive rape? There were rapists back then, but there's just a few rapists now. They're not as brutal as the rape. Is that progressive rape?
There's definitely levels to rape.
Tariq is a brilliant idiot.
Of course, there's levels to rape.
There's a level to rape.
Of course, there's levels to rape. Of course. Are you out of your mind? Okay, if you had to, okay, I'm going to ask you right now. If you had to, okay, ready? Here's a level of rape. If you had to get raped,
am I sitting here with?
If you had to get raped by wax, right? You know Charlamagne's buddy? Wax, or a 5-foot Asian, whose dick do you want?
None.
None. Whose dick do you want, Tariq?
Thank you very much, everybody.
You just proved your point. Rape is rape.
No. Hey, give me Huang Kwang. I want that shit. Do not give me wax, okay?
No dick for me.
Of course, that's not the hypothetical. But the point is, would you rather live in America now? Would you rather live in America in slavery? Would you rather live in America now?
We still live in slavery. This is slavery. We still live in slavery.
That's insulting. That is insulting.
The prison industrial complex is slavery, man.
insulting to what slaves went through.
Please, we're going to slavery
real
now.
quick.
Slavery just
But
meaning
real
slavery
quick,
means
what would
we
you
have
rather?
you dominated,
What would
and
you
you can't do anything about it.
Would you rather live in a time where you can sell books, you can sell movies, you can travel the country doing radio, you can make, I assume, I don't know if you're a millionaire, made millions of dollars?
Yeah.
Or would you rather be living in a shed, eating horrible food, and being whipped every single day and being chained? Which is better for you? Which would you rather?
Well, the thing is, I
That's a
still,
hard-
I still live in a system where they can shoot me and get away with it. Right
Which would
now,
you rather?
2017.
Just answer the
Right
question.
now, I'm telling you now, it's no difference. It's no difference.
There's
There's
no
no
difference.
difference. I can be killed now. They can be killed then. I can be killed now.
I can be killed now. Anybody can be killed.
Listen,
You're not
A
going to be
white
killed with
infant can
impunity.
be shot by cops in the car.
No, well, they went right to jail, so that's going to deter anybody
that
from
doesn't
doing
stop
that
you from
shit.
being
But
killed.
the thing is, you have people out here who are allowed and being rewarded to kill black people out here. They're not rewarded to
I can't
kill
believe you think that you live the exact same life
No,
as a
we've
slave.
made a lot.
Nothing has
Listen, we
changed.
can do better, but we have made so much racial
we-
progress
we
in
made-
America.
People
How was
lose
racial-
respect
how was
from your
racial progress,
arguments.
brother?
People
I mean-
lose respect for your arguments
No,
if you don't have
listen.
intellectual consistency.
Let's talk
this
the
is not
truth.
intellectually consistent.
It's very consistent.
No, it's
How
not.
have we
You know
changed?
damn well
We
you'd
just
rather
have
have
checked.
Asian
We
dick.
just-
Tariq, talk
we
when you
just-
talk shows. Go ahead, Tariq.
We just have technology, but the technology is basically
You have freedom.
really enforced
You
more
have
white
freedom.
supremacy.
You have freedom.
Well, no,
You
we
can
don't.
vote. You can choose your destiny of your life. You
Vote
can
for
choose
who?
to. You can choose to leave
Vote for
America.
who?
Vote for Barack Obama.
And Barack Obama is controlled by the white supremacists.
And I remember you
See,
said
we're
that. I don't-
still under
I
the
think
thumb
you
of white
need to-
supremacy.
I think-
It's like a prison, brother.
I think
it's
you
like
need
a
to
prison.
do some
You
more
say you can do
research.
stuff in the prison.
I think you need to
I
do
don't
more
want to be in the
research
prison. We need to
terms
get rid of the
of
prison.
what Barack Obama has done specifically
No,
for black people.
we know that Barack Obama, he wasn't allowed to do anything, and if he did something, they would have blew him up in the White House and the whole nine.
But Barack
he wasn't
Obama
allowed
did
to
a
do
lot.
anything, not for black people. No,
He
he
absolutely
didn't.
did.
No,
I mean,
he
I
didn't.
can go through a
Okay,
list
here
of
we
it
go.
because I looked at it last night. Obviously, he
Okay,
had
here
two
we
black
go.
attorney generals.
That means nothing. They were powerless tokens too, who couldn't punish none of these race soldiers killing black people. They were powerless tokens.
The Jobs Act.
That's that token thing.
Everything's a token if you disagree with it, I guess.
There's two
You have
black
to come
people.
up with
There's
arguments.
two black people
You have
there.
no
So
arguments.
that's
No, this is a good
progress.
conversation. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I mean, I think you need to think about an argument. Okay, so
What
the
else?
Jobs Act, it made money available for minority-owned business owners.
What's a minority?
Anything
Schultz.
that's not white supremacy,
Bullshit.
except Nigerians because they're white supremacy to you.
Most minorities are white.
Nigerians are white. by the
Most
way.
most minorities are white. See, watch these trick words. Most minorities are white.
In terms of, you're saying women are a minority. Is that what you're trying
White
to say?
women,
Right.
Hispanics who are classified as white.
Well, it depends what
Gay,
type of Hispanic.
white men, they're
Depends-
classified as minorities.
Not all Hispanics are white. Okay.
I know over here about 80% of them are white.
Okay, so he
over
cut
here they are.
black unemployment in half and went from 18.6% to 8.3%. That is specifically something that he did for black people. The Ready for Work Partnership, $170 million for back to long-term work programs that disproportionately help black people. So 25% of the black recipients were black. 12% of the population, they were reflected double the recipients of this specific program for black people.
Wait,
So
what
that's
was the
another
name of
thing
that program?
the Ready for Work Partnership. And what it did is it prepared people for long-term work ethics. So it's not like I'm going to get you a job and then you're going to be out of this work in 2 years, but it not only prepared people for the jobs, but it trained them for the jobs and connected them with the jobs that they can
Now, I
actually
haven't
have
heard
for
of that
long-term.
program, and most black people haven't heard of that program. So I don't
Well,
think that
25% of the people in the program for black.
I don't know nobody. I don't know one black
Just
person
'cause
who has
well,
heard of that program.
listen, you also didn't know
I didn't
How
know
many
that.
people did it affect?
How many
black
people did it help? Because they
affect
watch,
directly?
they say this stuff like 25% of the unemployed. See, they work these little numbers.
Yeah, how many
and,
how many
and
black
it don't
people did it
really
affect?
affect
I
a
didn't
large
get the
numbers.
statistic of how many people. All I can tell you is the 170 million black people got 25% of that. The small business.
And I got to verify that because
Please
that sounds real
please
funny
do,
style.
please do. Small Business Association loans. The fee for those loans went to zero. They targeted blacks by partnering with the U.S. Black
See,
Chambers.
targeting blacks. Watch these terms.
I'm
Are you saying
telling
they
you-
targeting blacks? Those are not
I'm gonna tell you
specifically
how
for
they
black
targeted.
people.
I'm going to tell you how they targeted black. So they partnered with the U.S. Black Chambers and the 100 Black Men of America to make sure that these loans were targeted to blacks. The fair
But did they
sen-
get them
the
though?
loans,
Did they
though?
get them? Exactly.
Oh my
Did they
God.
get them?
Yes.
Oh,
Okay.
you don't know if they did
Well, you
that.
don't
So
know that they
you're
didn't.
watching these words like
That's
targeted.
true.
You don't know if they didn't.
Right.
So there it is. So until you can tell me they didn't, then
So,
they did.
those are weak reaches, man.
The Fair
That's
Sentencing
a weak
Act.
reach.
Fair Sentencing Act. This narrowed the gaps in sentencing between crack and cocaine. Okay, this is something specifically that I'm sure that you were referencing when you talked about the institutionalized racism and institutionalized imprisonment of black people. So he specifically targeted the difference in time served.
Then
for
why
cocaine and
why
crack.
are so many black people still disproportionately in jail for
they were already in
nonviolent
jail.
drug crimes?
Well, Barack
Fine,
can't
but-
change that in 8 years.
All right,
Yeah.
but let's be real. Let's not throw all these little.
Well, you think that's because of
these
racism?
little symbolic things.
Well, you think that's because of racism?
Because brothers in jail like
Yeah.
that? Yeah.
So here's a question: 95% of the people in jail are male. Is that because the justice system is sexist?
No. But the justice system is dominated by white supremacy. You know why? Because
Well, no. Let's just attach on
listen.
that. So it's not. So I gave you a statistic, right? That is the same statistic that you gave me, but you said
on.
immediately no and discredited it. Now, this is a perfect example of where you're blinded by race.
Right.
You see a race statistic, you believe it, right? Because
Yeah,
we don't
based
question
on
the
numbers.
things. We don't question. And I gave you a gender statistic, and you believe it, and you and you completely disregarded it.
You
I'm what?
going off from what I'm saying.
What was
Listen
your
what I'm
point?
saying.
No,
What my
it's-
point?
you're
I don't know.
responding to what I'm
went on.
saying. My
I'm
point
asking
is,
you.
just because
I'm
a
asking
statistic
you.
exists
You're
doesn't
deflecting,
mean
Schultz.
there's reason.
Schultz, you're
You
gotta let
deflecting.
him talk.
You're
Schultz.
deflecting, Schultz. So
He's a grown man. Will you
Schultz
let
is
that man have a
deflecting.
No,
conversation?
we got to
He's
have
not
a conversation.
baby.
You got to think about
Schultz.
people listening. Like,
So,
you-
do you
go
think,
ahead,
so
go
you're
ahead.
saying that
95% of people in
the
male.
disproportionate number of black men in jail
Yeah.
is not because of race, not because of white supremacy.
Not necessarily.
Most black men are in
Not
jail.
necessarily.
Most black men are in jail
Yeah.
for nonviolent drug offenses. Our sister Michelle Alexander, she broke that down in her book. But the number one drug in the country, crystal meth, heroin, that stuff, and 90% of the people who use and sell are white.
Are you familiar with the punishment for crystal meth? Are you familiar with the how long you have to do in jail if you're caught with that?
How long? What does that have to do with them going to jail, period? Because
Exactly the same amount of time for crack. Now,
so how
meth-
come the jails are not filled
meth,
with
Tariq,
white meth and heroin users
Actually,
and
they're
sellers?
increasingly becoming that way.
Increasingly? Well, how come they're not now? Why
Because
not
meth
now?
is a newer drug. And
Meth has
crack
been around
happened
for
in the
a
80s.
long
No, it
time.
hasn't. Meth is a much newer
Meth
drug.
has been around for a long time.
Heroin's
Heroin's
an
been
older
around.
drug, but meth is a much newer drug, and they're increasingly so inside these jails. The numbers
So
are
you're
shocking.
just saying they haven't gotten them yet? That's what you're
Shocking.
saying?
It's happening. I think in the next 10 years, you're going to see a similar epidemic with meth as we saw with crack.
No.
How new is meth, though? I thought meth been
Meth has
around.
been around for a
No.
long time. Meth has been around for a long. That's not true, show.
It absolutely is true. You can look
Meth,
it up.
meth
You
has
can look
been
these
around
things
for a
up.
long
So
time.
now let's
Do that.
let's
Meth
now
is
let's look at the 95%
that's being
statistic.
disingenuous, but that's okay.
Let's look at the
That's okay.
95% statistic. So 95% of the people in jail are male. Is that because jail is sexist? You said that jail is racist because the majority of people in jail are black, or a disproportionate
Yes.
amount of blacks are in jail. So that means that was enough proof for you to say it's racist. So I'm saying 95% of people in jail are male. That is disproportionately male to female. Is that, by your logic, because jail is sexist?
No, that's just a deflective argument, Schultz. That's nothing but a deflection. It has nothing
Just
to do
'cause
with
you
it has
don't have
nothing
an
to do with the
answer
price.
doesn't mean it's
but
deflective.
it's no answer. It's a deflective argument that has nothing to do with the price of tea in China. The reason why there's so many people, and even let's go to black women, more black women in jail than white women, and there's more white women who are meth users and drug users there. So it always goes back to systematic white
Now,
supremacy.
there's also more black women in college and more black women in graduate school.
Not than white women.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, obviously, there's more white women in the country, but percentage-wise, black women are the most educated people in the country. So is that because education system is racist?
So we're
according to you?
we're going by the percentage thing.
That's
I'm
how
talking
you
about
look
raw-
at.
you know,
That's
you
how
look
you
at
look
raw
at a demographic.
numbers. No, you look
can't
at raw
at
numbers.
Okay, well,
You look at
white,
raw numbers.
White people are 5 times the population of black people. Clearly, there's going to be more than.
And if there's 5 times percent of the population, why are so many more black people in jail? And you're 5 times percent of the population.
I mean, we could
all these
also-
black men are in jail.
we could also look at the same statistic and say, why are there so many black
But
people?
no. We can
killing-
also answer that question.
Why? Okay, what is your question?
The question is,
And methamphetamine has been around since 1887, by the way.
I'm not saying they haven't been around, but the meth it's like saying crack. Yeah, you could make
So you said
cracks
no. You
in the
said so
beginning.
the meth epidemic, or you said meth is a newer drug,
right?
The meth epidemic is a new
newer.
drug. Yeah, the meth epidemic
Is
is
newer.
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But back to your question. You had a
But the
question.
question is, because there's 5 times more white people in the country,
Mm-hmm.
shouldn't they be in jail 5 times more?
Absolutely. You
Then
would
why are
think.
they not?
You would think.
Then why are
right?
they not?
Because in what the justice system believes is they aren't committing the crime at that rate.
Why do they think that?
I don't know. Why do you think that?
White supremacy?
I wouldn't chalk it up to just white supremacy. I would chalk it up to the lasting effects of slavery, and I would talk about
Which is white
and Jim
supremacy?
Crow, which is
white supremacy. You keep bringing different
I mean,
words
it's
for
been
white
proven that mass
supremacy.
incarceration is a race issue, though.
Yeah.
It's been proven.
yes. There are.
We
certain,
agree on a lot of stuff.
There are
Schultz.
certain,
You
there are
prove a
certain
lot of stuff,
aspects,
right?
Absolutely. There are certain aspects. I can't deny that, and I absolutely would deny. But I think that it is more detailed and nuanced than you give it credit for. So, for example, when we look at the numbers that we see, I guess you chalk up everything that has happened to black people in America to the history of black people in America.
I chop up everything that happens now. Everything, especially everything negative that happens to black society, is completely orchestrated by white supremacy, and I mean that with no exceptions.
I mean, President Obama said that in his farewell speech the other day. He said that He said white people need to stop dismissing the fact that the after effects of slavery and Jim Crow are very much affecting us as a society.
And he also
now.
said stop looking at everything as a race thing.
He did, but it works both ways.
Yeah.
You don't look at everything as a race thing, but you have to deal with the reality of the situation.
Absolutely, I've never denied that. I've been a very strong proponent of the effects of Jim Crow and slavery, and I think it's one of the reasons why blacks that come here from Africa and the West Indies are so successful in this country is because they don't have that lasting legacy and they don't have that victimology mentality that the blacks that are raised in
they
America
have it. Oh, they have it. But the thing is,
Not
they're
to the
allowed.
extent.
They're allowed over here. See,
Not to the
especially in
extent.
their countries are dominated by white supremacy. That's why they had to bring
but
their
they
asses over here.
But they grew up with their own leaders, right? They grew up
No,
looking at
they grew up with puppet leaders.
black
They know
presidents.
that.
They grew up looking at black people in office. They grew up looking at black business
Nelson
owners.
Mandela was a real leader.
They go look at all these things. I
I've
mean,
been-
many of
brother,
them were real leaders.
I've been Schultz. I've been to Africa. When a white person steps
Where in
out,
Africa?
I've been to Ethiopia. I've been to Egypt. I've been to Tanzania. I've been to South Africa. Been to Zanzibar. And one thing I've noticed: whenever a white person steps out somewhere, black people there surround them because they know that we live in a global system of white supremacy, and those are the people with the resources, and that's who I need
Surround
to be around.
them? What do you mean?
So literally, surround them, like begging. Surround them. Like, hey, who are you? What do? You got food, medicine? And this is
So
why
is that
African people
because-
are getting on ships and boats floating over to Europe because
Again,
those
so
are the
is-
people who have all the resources.
Is that okay? Just like you just said it right
Yes.
there. You just said it. Is that because they're white or is that because they have resources?
Ah.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Right.
They
Right.
want
Listen.
resources. So if
Right,
a
right,
rich
right.
black guy
Right,
is
right.
walking through the streets of Zanzibar, I guarantee some black people are going to surround him going, hey, do you have some resources for me? I'd love some resources. That'd be great.
Right. So the resource thing, why do white people have so many resources globally?
Well, not white people. White people don't. I mean, if we look at America, we see the intense poverty across America, the intense welfare state that America has become.
Who has the majority of the resources?
There are white people that have
Who
resources.
have the majority of the global resources?
A very small percentage of 1% of the population that is
Right.
not reflective of if
Right.
if I blamed or you or anybody blamed all black people for the actions of 1% of black people, right? You would call that racist or prejudice. But you have no problem blaming all white people for the actions of 1% of whites.
No. I've never said that. Let's be very clear.
I
I've
mean,
always said all white people
you
are
just
not
said it
white
right now.
supremacists. I never said that. No, I didn't. No, I never said that. All white people are not white supremacists.
I don't know if you
the
know what
white
you're saying.
supremacists are the most powerful people on the planet.
That's what we were talking about with Tariq earlier, because whenever he goes on Tucker's show, I always tell him I think that's dangerous because they try to paint him as a racist instead of a person who's against white supremacy. I think it's a difference.
Right, but they just twist your words and use the "I'm white, not say so" narrative. So no matter what I say, they're going to flip it and just say something else anyway. So that's "I'm white, not say so." I'm used to that.
All right. Let's pause this conversation with Tariq Nasheed to tell you that this episode of Brilliant Idiots is brought to you by Squarespace. Whatever your next move might be, get it started on a good
How sweet